iPad, but like everything was black. And I kept trying to flip the screen and it would never flip the screen. And I got frustrated with it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go to my phone, and then I'll just have to try it again another day. So with that, oh, my hair is it's like this is gonna be a mess right now. Okay. Hello again, Carrie. I saw you right before I turned my other live off, but like I said, it wasn't working right with my iPad. It was just a black screen, and I was like, what in the world is going on? And I couldn't get the screen to flip, and I gave up. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go back to my phone. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the live on the iPad later. It just wasn't cooperating with me. Maybe tomorrow. Anyway, speaking of the iPad, this was my mother's, and she passed away last year. And my dad was like, you know what? I have no clue how to use it. You can use it. So I'm gonna use it to make some future videos, some videos for next year, which are going to be a year of crochet stitches, a stitch a day perpetual calendar. I'll probably call them perpetual calendar stitches. Um, they, and I'll just be like, oh, today is January 1st, and today's stitch is da 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 da. And I'll give you a little, like here, like January, it just says simple stitches. And it was nice enough to give you, abbreviate for those that are beginners, some definitions of what the different things mean. And for every day it gives a multiple. Although it does repeat the name, it doesn't give like double crochet or this is a single crochet. It will in the rows. It tells you how to do the rows, but it just says a multiple of 2 stitches plus 1, or a multiple of this many stitches plus this many. There is a month where they do have, I think it was back in September, where it had motifs. September, I don't remember. Was it August or September? They had motifs. August. In August, they had motifs. So we have those coming up. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Digital Weird. Okay. Where did I get this? I don't know if it's still there, but I got this from Michael's. And it's a perpetual calendar. And every day in my devotions, I've been showing the stitch for the day. Now I haven't been doing the stitches. I just been showing you what they look like. Like today is the 24th, and it just says a multiple of 2 stitches. But for the month of October, now each month it's a different kind of thing. Like for the month of October, it's post stitches and cables. And they give you a definition of what those are. And then it just, like I said, it just gives you multiples of this many stitches plus this many. And like I explained to people, whenever there's like a plus 1, plus 2, whatever, that's basically the turning chain for the next row. So we have that. And I'm way behind on one of the things just because life. We still need to finish off these. We're about halfway through the box, and then we're going to do the rest of those. And I'm way behind in these granny square boxes. And I have recently learned that there is a third box that just came out. Well, it's not out to buy in the stores yet, but somebody had told somebody else on somebody else's live, and I can't remember whose it was now. Okay, that's gonna drive me nuts for a minute. 'Cause I remember them seeing, they were like, "What? There's a third box coming out November 11, and I believe those squares are gonna have different kind of stitches, like different types of stitches per square." But these boxes though I got from a bookstore in the mall. So this one has the flower. I was so happy to see the flower one. I can't wait to start doing these ones. These look, and then we still got to finish off these. Really into these, and I tell you what, this is like a challenge. These are like a challenge for me because they're mostly graph, which is hard for me to read. Um, so it's kind of been challenging for me, but in a good way. In a good way. Um, and I've actually set aside containers to put them in. So there's that. Um, Also, something else I'm slightly behind in. This Go Crochet Afghan Design workbook. Now I got this from Half Price Books, but the cool thing about this book is they're motifs, yes, but tons and tons of motifs. But the motifs, okay, here, grab the, okay. Like here's the one that's the puddles gather rain. That's this one. That's one of them that I've done. But it will show you, what it looks like. There's the, if you're into graphs, and then here's how to do it. But it will show you other motifs that will go with it if you're going to make like a blanket. These are some of the other motifs that you can use to go with this one to make a blanket. And I just think that is the most awesome thing. That is the most awesome thing. I do have a separate box to put these in as well. We're going to be doing motifs. For I lost my train of thought. That's terrible. Oh, I still have been doing the devotions. I do those every morning. Now sometimes I have like my days off, then I'm usually busy doing stuff in the morning, so sometimes it might not be until like the afternoon. But I do 3 different devotions. I have the 365 days of kindness, and they always end with an act of kindness that you could do for somebody. The daily guideposts for grandmothers, and the illustrated words of Jesus for women. And if you're one who, even though you're an adult, you still like to color, yes, you can color in this. And if you want to, you can add stickers to it, which I do quite a lot, and I will show you those as I'm doing them, reading the devotions. And what's kind of neat is that every once in a while, and maybe 2 of them, the devotions just happen to coincide with each other, and once in a great while, all 3 of them will coincide with each other. It just kind of works out like that. That is one of the neat things. And then I always end the devotions with my cross prayer square, and I read the little prayer that goes with it. Hello, Shiny Punk. Oh, you have all 3 boxes? Oh, that is so cool, Carrie. I'm surprised you could get the 3rd one, because the last I heard, it didn't come out until November the 11th. So I still gotta. I'm waiting until November um, to go and find it and see if I can get it. Um, I am working on several things. Um, been working on. Yeah. Working on my stripe blanket from this book, 101 Easy Scrap Crochet Projects. And it's called Dreamy Stripes. And I've actually had another blanket that I was working on that I kind of got bored with. And so I used some of that yarn to work with this one. And I'm about between 50 and 60 stripe rows in out of 110. So I'm a little more than halfway there on this blanket. Oh, you don't have the November one? Okay. All right. Um, but I'm working on this one. It's going to be a Christmas gift for somebody. Oof. Sorry, I'm usually a little more prepared, but the iPad, I'm still learning how to do the iPad, so that's kind of gotten me a little flustered at the moment. Oh. Something else that I am planning on for next year. And not folder, it's a big notebook of these from Vanna White, because Vanna White crochets. You know who Vanna White is? She's the one who changes the letters on Wheel of Fortune. Um, she crochets it. She makes like a ton of things. And I did do a quick little video on how to do these 3 different dishcloths that are on here. So I might do another separate video of each one of these 3 dishcloths. I think next year I'm going to go through the whole notebook, and because it's big. It's a big, thick notebook. In fact, here is another project from that notebook. That same notebook. A shell rug. And I am taking actual rug yarn, and since it's, as one would say, for the house, I'm just mix matching the colors I have, the rug yarns that I have, to make it. And that one, actually, you have to use a fairly big hook, as a letter N 10mm hook. Now you can't tell me that's not a big hook. That is a big hook. But anyway. So. And so at least it helps make the stitches go by a little bit faster, because you're in this project, in this rug, you're using 3 strands together. So what I decided to do, besides using rug yarn, I'm also using this regular 4-weight yarn with it. I'm trying to just use up scraps, basically. Not very often that I get to use a big hook. Letter N 10mm. That's big. Yeah, this little project. See, I go from project to project to project. I just need to sit down and do them and finish them. But I get sidetracked with oh look another project. Oh look another project. Nobody else do that. I used to be really good at finishing a project before doing another one, but lately I get sidetracked too easily. um, where is it? This was actually out of a project that I got from Five and Below, and I knew the yarn that came with the project was not going to make this, so I decided to use my own yarn, my own 4-weight yarn, to make it, because it came with some yarn I knew was not going to be enough for it. So I only needed 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just gotta sew them together and make the handle. And it's really easy. You make 5 of these little squares with like this daisy flower in the center. And then, okay, here's my together. Give me a minute here. There we go. There's the assemble. Here you put 4 of them. Here's the 5th one. And you do it so that it comes together like this. And then you gotta put a crochet, single crochet along the top part, and then they have instructions on how to make the little handle. And you make the handle for as long as you would like. Hello, Rebecca. Carrie, I'm so glad to see you tonight. It's not very often I get to see you in the evenings. I do watch your lives in the mornings. Um, oh. Um, mm. I recently started working on a granny virus blanket. I'll have to go back and go look at the video. But this is where I've got so far, and I'm using some old Stay Yell yarn. So you start out with the granny, and then the virus, and then it goes a couple rows of the virus, a couple colors of the virus, and then it goes back to the granny, and then you go to the virus again. This is all I've gotten so far on it. And the lady that I was watching, she said she makes those like all the time, and you can make them as big as you want. And you're usually in bed now. Yeah, sometimes I am too, but usually, since I get home at like 9:30 my time, then I actually don't go to bed to sometimes until like 11 midnight. um, and then if you watch my Decade Diva video, I was wearing this hat. Or actually, in the little booklet called it a cloche. But it was from here. But I am also working on the vest that goes with it. Let me see if I can find the page. Oh, I have made this. I have made this once. I don't know what happened to it, but I have made this bag once. It's actually pretty easy. You'd be surprised how easy some of this stuff from then. Oh, here we go. It's in black and white, but this is the hat I made, and I am working on this right now, and it's going to be for No. But it's going to be for my youngest daughter. It's called a crochet vest and clothes. And back then they used Coat and Clark, speed crocheting, mercerized cotton. And so I'm using what pretty much kind of close to it. I mean, it is really thin yarn. And actually, well, this one's a Red Heart Luster Sheen. No, wait, 2 ounces. So it's like a really thin. And I have other colors, multiple colors, but I'm just kind of using them up as I go because I have lots of this thinner yarn to make them with. I'm in Indiana, and it's probably is almost 11 o'clock here because I'm from Indiana. But also, if you saw my Decade Diva, I made I made this with a steel hook. It was a 00 steel hook, which in but it's also a 3 point. I think it said 3.5 millimeter. Um, but this was made on Sayel yarn, and this is pretty big. Yeah, it's about 10 inches across. It's pretty big. And at the time when I showed this, I wasn't able to make the whole bedspread, but it was meant to make these squares are meant to make a bedspread. And it uses a lot of popcorn, lots and lots of popcorns in this square. And I even blocked it. And it's probably a little harder to tell, but I did block it. That's popcorn. But I had fun making that. Lots of fun making that. I also have a bin over there. They're not really squares, they're rectangles. I'm working on these Tunisian rectangles to make a blanket for a co-worker of mine because she had some yarn left over that she gave to me a while back, and um, she said she didn't want the yarn no more, so she gave it to me. So I thought I'd return the favor by making her a blanket. So that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm working on making. I got to make all these Tunisian squares and then put them all together to make the blanket. And the pattern, this particular Tunisian blanket, Tunisian squares or rectangle uh, pattern that I came from was actually from a uh, another YouTuber called Vintage Crochet, and she actually took the pattern from a vintage pattern, and that's the pattern I use to make the squares. So I just think it's going to be really, really awesome. I am also working on a blanket. There's a blanket over there. When it's done, it's going to be phenomenal because you have to make all these chain links. And I don't mean like a crochet chain. I'll show you another time. Because you have to make several panels, and each panel is a link. You have to make all these little half circles to make links, and then you make a pattern. Then you got a border around those links, and then you stitch them together, and then you make a border around the entire blanket. I've been working on this since my step grandson was like in elementary, and he's like in middle school, and it'll probably be done by the time he graduates high school. Oh, you like vintage crochet? I love vintage crochet. She's so much fun to watch. She likes to do mystery patterns, which are so fun. Um, she also does a lot of doilies, which I know you love, Carrie, because you are just fabulous at making doilies. You're like the doily queen. And I mean that in a very positive sense because you are just fabulous. Um, I am also I just have some woobles that I've been meaning to finish. She's laughing at me. Carrie's laughing at me. But I'm making the woobles with blanket yarn. So instead of the wool being this big, they're this big. And I bought ice for them. So I just got to uh, finish one of them, get stuffed and sewn, and then that, and I'm gonna make like this little family of three, like a mom, daddy, and a kid or something like that. This little family of three to finish off this little bit of uh, blanket yarn that I have because I normally don't use blanket yarn, but oh, you this one, 365 days of kindness. I actually got this. I'll actually I'll no 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 no. These two I got from Half Price Books. This one was gifted to me from one of my best friends. Um, this one was a gift to me. These two I bought years ago from Half Price Books. And they always end with some kind of act of kindness. And like each month, like for instance, April here. For the month of April, it'll start you off with here. It says like April, and I'll have like a little verse and a picture, and then it starts you off with with April 1st. It goes full has a verse, then the devotion, and then an act of kindness that you could do for somebody. Every month, every day, there's always some kind of act of kindness for somebody. It is the coolest thing. And if you guys ever watch my devotions, I tend to reiterate some things or put in my 2 cents while I'm reading them. And I can't help myself. That's how I am. um, let's see. Life this last year was a roller coaster. This year it's been not quite as much better. It's been a little bit better, but a slight dent in the roller coaster. Because a month or so ago, my brother's best friend passed away of cancer, and then last year my husband passed away of cancer, and my mom passed away last year. It's been a cancer roller coaster. Um, anyway, that's a whole side note. Um, I'm also working on another cardigan. Actually, in the book, it started out as a shrug, and it's only supposed to go to like about here, about waist, maybe a little less than waist, maybe like just past my chest, maybe. But I'm going to add to it and make it a cardigan, so it goes down past my hips. Um, and I also have in a bag over here some solid color yarns and then a couple of rainbow colored yarns that I'm going to use. Oh, it's upside down. I'm going to be making some prayer squares, and I bought 3x5 cards, and I'm going to put the prayer on there and tie them on there and send them out to the world for people to find, because I found this while I was out thrifting, and this happened to be in with some yarn, and I used this with my um, ever since using with my devotions ever since. Oh, here's another thing. One of my lovely subscribers, a lot of times when after the devotions, she will reiterate some scripture that that comes to mind when she listens to them. And and so what I did was I used to have them written down on little pieces of paper, but then I said, okay, I had too many pieces of paper and I needed to write them down in notebook paper. I also have videos where I have been reading said verses, and I actually need to add to it since this one. And I do have some videos on that where I read the verses, and then I kind of read where the devotion comes, what devotion I was talking about, or maybe where in the Bible that scripture was talking about at the time that it was written. I do things like that. Um, I had something else in my head and I lost it. I lost it. Hello, Trust. I don't know how to knit either, but my brother knows how to knit, and my youngest daughter, she knits and she crochets, she knits, she sews, she draws, uh, and she a pretty good journal. She's an awesome journalist, and she's just all around awesome. I wish I could sew. My mother used to sew, especially when I was a little kid. She used to sew all the time. She used to make things all the time. But I crochet. I wish I knew how to sew, but I do not know how to sew to save my life. At least not with a sewing machine. I can know enough to help sew, like fix a hole or something, or just tighten up a loose button. But that's about it. That's as far as my sewing goes. Like I don't think I could when I make bags. I usually just try to make them with rug yarn because that's a lot stronger yarn to me than 4-weight yarn. But I don't put liners inside bags because once again I don't know how to sew. But I wish I did because I would think some of the bags I make would probably come out nicer if they had a lining in them. But not necessarily because one of the bags I made was this cute bag that has a pull string. Um, see, you pull it and then you could tighten it up to close it. But it has these little beads. And it's meant to be a market bag, so it's meant to have the holes. So it just depends on the bag. Oh, good night, Carrie. Thank you so much for coming. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. Get some rest. Have a good weekend. Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, all right. I'm just gonna put that up later. This does not want to stay on my mannequin. I have a mannequin behind you. Um. I just work on. Okay. I also like to loom knit. I have actually a couple blankets on looms. I have one blanket that's on an S loom that I started years ago. What day of the week is bingo? Is that this weekend or is that on a weekday? Or is that on the weekends? I can't remember, Carrie. That tomorrow? Tuesday and Saturday, same time. Oh, so it is tomorrow. Okay, every Tuesday and Saturday. Awesome. And then another blanket. Well, okay. I had made this little blanket for my middle daughter when she was a little kid. I made two panels, crocheted them together, but she grew out of that one, so now I'm going to have to make more panels and then put a border on it. And so that was just kind of set aside for the moment. But I do need to make that blanket bigger because she's way outgrown that one now. um, but that was kind of set aside because I don't really need to have it done now. But every once in a while I pull it out and work on it a little bit more. Um, but guys, go watch Carrie and go watch Maureen's channel and watch Froggy Win and Knitting. Those three gals are just wonderful. They're usually on each other's channel every morning. Um, Sometimes they're on, usually on about 10, 11 o'clock, my time, Eastern Standard Time for me, about 10, 11 o'clock. Um, and they're usually on for an hour. And about halfway through their live, they'll stop and read a devotion. And they're the reason why I have devotions on my channel, because they do devotions on their channel. And I just think that is so wonderful. And even Maureen will have separate videos where she shares a devotion. So that's what I do. I show everything about crochet on my lives, and then I do a separate devotion on another video. Um, but like I said, I still been kind of playing with this. I finally figured out how to work the mic. I know that sounds really weird, but the first test, if you saw the first video where I tried testing it, it was nothing but dead silence. And so then I tried it again a different way, and I got the microphone to work this time on the second test, so you got to hear me talk. Um, so I'm still trying to work out the bugs and kinks, so to speak. But it's all on me because I'm still learning how. I'm a dinosaur, so I'm still learning how to work iPads. um, yeah. Um, right now, I'm just trying to finish off projects, trying to so I can clear some clutter out of my craft room because my craft room is a mess. If I figure I finish up projects, then that will help get yarn up off the floor and projects off the and all these whips off the floor. If I get them finished, get some of these done and put them in the done column, and then everything else can start again in the new year. That's why, and see, my phone is, when you're doing it on a phone, there's only so much space. You can only have so much space on a phone. So, because I tend to use mine to take pictures, take family photos, and I do use them to make the videos. But then after I share them to YouTube, then I will, after a while, then I take them off of my phone. I don't want to stop and do that, so I'm going to use this to make future videos. Like I said, like this one for today, it's a multiple. It says a multiple of 2 stitches. Well, January 1st also says a multiple of 2 stitches. So, just because I say, the multiple of 2 stitches, more than once. It's like January 4th, multiple 2 stitches, but it's a whole different pattern. You know, each day it's a different pattern, but it might say the same thing again. And I don't know how. I wish they would have given better names for these stitches. Um, all I'm gonna have to do is like read. I'm gonna have to read the date, the multiple. Where's the multiple? How many stitches, and then I might maybe. I don't know. And then I'll show you the picture, so that you know that it's every day it's a whole different. It's a different pattern. But it does call everything by the same or similar names. Like it just says a multiple of this many stitches plus this many. And I don't know how to make it any different other than to show you the picture, what it's going to look like. But I will show you how to do those patterns. There's more than just a stitch; it's the pattern for that stitch. Um, it's just different ways of using different stitches, basically. Um, I don't know. That's future me's problem. um, I do know one of the things I'm thinking about doing for next year. Right back again. And I talked about this earlier. This is the notebook. Oh my gosh! That those other 2 pages came from. This is huge notebook from Vanna. Vanna's Afghan and crochet favorites. I think we are going to be making more projects out of here. And I have to do some more thinking, but I'm thinking about taking it one section at a time, one project at a time, and try to make everything in here. Or if not, what I might do is she actually has in here an heirloom sampler. And I think each month, I think once a month, we are going to be working on, I think there's 12. And then we go to the end here. Oh no, there's way more than that, more than 12. Oh wait, those are bonus blocks. No, they're all called bonus blocks. Okay. There are, we might have to do 2 a month, because there are 24. Yeah, we're gonna have to do 2 a month. To make this heirloom sampler. There's a lot of really neat things in here. So we'll see. We shall see. Because there is a lot in here. Like they've got dolls and toys for baby, rugs and pillows, bizarre bestsellers, timeless treasures, sampler Afghan favorites, wonderful wearables. Boy, try saying that 3 times fast. And Christmas traditions. Hey, Rosalie! Rosie, Rosie, Rosie! um, Rosie, you were making a really pretty sweater this morning. It was pink and white. Okay? First, I thought you were making a blanket, and then I asked you, and you were like, "Nope, I'm a little tired of making. You were getting burned out on blankets, and you decided to make a sweater, and it was looking very pretty." But yeah, next year, I think we're gonna definitely gonna make the sampler Afghan. We're gonna have to make 2 squares a month because there's 24. Um, and that's out of this Vanna White or Vanna's Afghan and crochet favorites. But I'm also thinking about making some other things in here. So there'll be a separate category for that. I know I have all kinds of things I'm thinking about for next year. Yeah. Because I mean, I'm just a little channel that, like, with big hopes and dreams. um, so I just gotta take everything one little step at a time. But I still have all these whips. I have, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12 different webs at least. But anyway, I do have. Well, also what I was thinking about doing that whenever we get all the squares done, all the squares for this, I might make that into one blanket, and all the squares for this, make that into one blanket, or I might. Yeah, it is a lot of whips. I'm one of those people who gets distracted by one whip and then I get started on another whip and then which is very bad because I used to be really good at just making one whip at a time, but I keep getting distracted by other whips and it's like I see another project and I'm like, oh, I gotta make that. Oh, I gotta make this whip. I'm so bad. I've gotten so bad lately. That's another thing I'm hoping next year I can get myself to get down. I think it's just because I feel like I gotta make so much for the channel that I gotta make this, and that, just to keep up with everybody else. That sounds terrible. I feel like I have to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Not literal Jones or next door to me Jones, but you feel like you got to keep up with everybody else. Um, anyway, or when I get done with with all these squares, put them together into one blanket. That's another idea too. But each of these boxes make 50 squares. So even 50 squares alone would be enough to make one blanket. Two of them, it's 100 squares. That's a big blanket. I mean, they're only 4 by 4, but still. That's a lot of squares to put together, folks. And there's going to be a third box. I heard somebody say there's going to be a third box coming out in November. And on that one, it's just supposed to have different kind of stitches or something. I heard somebody say about it. I'm not sure. Anyway. But sometimes I just sorry. Sometimes I just feel like that. Sometimes you just gotta keep up with everybody. um, but I try my best. Like I said, like I've got, I think. Let's see. I looked at it this morning. I had 515 subscribers. So my next goal is 1,000. I'm hoping by this time next year I'll have 1,000 subscribers. I still need more watch hours. Um, make sure you give all the little thummies. If you're watching on your phone, usually you can tap your screen, or you're watching on your iPad, I think you can tap your screen. Um, and if you're watching on your TV, you know, you gotta hit the like button on your computer, like button. Um, but like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel. Um, I was hoping I could get my iPad to cooperate, but I couldn't get my iPad to cooperate. At first, I tried to do this live on my iPad, and there was nothing but blackness, and it did not work. So I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Um, I don't know what I did wrong, but I will try again tomorrow. Because I was like, I wanted to do a live tonight, so I just put it down, and I got my phone back out, and I'm like, okay, try over, start over. Well, thank you for the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is very nice of you. But I watched like a ton of people. Because I was going. The reason why I want to do this on my iPad is because yesterday on my way home I was watching uh, the Spoonie Stitcher and Critters Crochet, and it was on Critters Crochet's channel. And I'm sorry, I'm thinking. Because I didn't get to see it because I was driving, but I was listening. And I think they said on their channel that there was that Premiere was having a sale, but I can't remember now. That's why I was hoping I could get my iPad to cooperate so that I could I can go look at the video from yesterday and replay that portion of it for you so you could see the sale. But the iPad didn't want to cooperate. Well, at least I couldn't figure it out to get it to cooperate. Let's put it that way. It's not totally the iPad's fault, it's partially my fault. But I don't know. I'm still learning. I know I've had some people suggest to me to use thumbnails. I had to figure out how to do that. I know some channels, um, they like to use music at the beginning and at the end of their lives, or like the beginning of their regular videos. I don't know how to do that yet. I've only been at this for a year now, and I'm still learning. Still learning everything. Like when I first started out, I was crocheting right here in front of my house and showing how to make things. Then I was like, you know what? I see a lot of videos where all you see is their hands because they had the camera over their hand. So I do have one of those arms to help put over my hand, and I've been showing you how to make the stitches from this with the camera overhead. But I also have shown you how to make some little smaller projects right here in front of me. I've done that too, and I will still continue to do both. I will show you how to make some projects, some small projects and some bigger projects. Um, but I have figured out how to make videos with this. I tell you what, to me when I was doing um, my devotions with this, it was like right here, as opposed to when I'm sitting back here, but like because of how big the screen is, and it's the same distance, but it's a bigger screen. To me, it looks like I'm right here instead of back here. That's my perspective, anyway. But That's okay. Because then if I'm closer, then you can see the stitching. You can see what I'm doing better. Definitely just figure out how to work the live with my iPad. That would be even better. Just a kind of trial and error, I guess. But such is life. I do cave and turn on the heat. Because I'm tired of being cold. Well, chilled. Because it started to get chilly in the evenings. It would be like chilly in the morning, warm in the afternoon, and then chilly in the evening. So I was like, okay, I gotta turn the heat on. I want to wake up to be a popsicle. um, but I have showed you a lot of projects. I have showed you the projects I am working on. If you missed it, just go back and watch the replay. Um, and I'm hoping to get these things done because I let life get in the way. Sometimes there have been times though where I've stopped, and sometimes I don't always watch lives because I'm either busy or lately I've been buying CDs, half price books. Not only sells books, but they sell CDs, and then occasionally if you look hard enough, they even have cassette tapes. At least in my and once or twice I've even found 8-track tapes. I remember 8-track. If you're old enough to remember 8-track tapes like I do, then you know how old I am. In fact, in the Decade Divas, I tell you, I give you a hint to how old I am in my Decade Diva video. Um, um, where was I going with that? Oh, CDs. Yeah, I've been buying some old because earlier this year in the summer, I went to this '80s concert and I dressed all in '80s style. So I've been buying some older CDs and listening to music from like '80s and '90s, and even '70s. And so sometimes I'd rather listen to the music and crochet because if I try to watch somebody else's live video and crochet, then I find myself paying more attention to the live than crocheting because I want to put in my 2 cents. Good night, Rosie. I know it's late for me too. Good night, Rosie. Um, Thank you for coming. Um, Thank you for the hearts. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Um, but go back and watch the replay. I'm going to show you all some of the whips that I'm working on, and I tell you about and I have told you about some of the things I'm working on for next year. Well, to end this year and beginning of next year. Um, I just have all kinds of ideas. I just gotta get things done and start working on the stuff for next year. Start getting some things out of this from some bits and things to get done. Some ideas. I don't know. But like, comment, share, subscribe, all those kind of goodies. And you know what? Let's end it with this. This small swatch of yarn has been woven with prayers. As you hold this swatch in your hand, may you feel God's strength, love, and peace flow and know that He holds you in His hands. And may God bless and comfort you in your time of need and give you peace. Amen. Love y'all. Bye.